also to add to what is the benefits of this on-premise and online and this, the cloud. The cloud actually has really brought flexibility into technology, which we don't used to have before.
Yes.
Which is, for instance, you have to factor all of those in before you can know the server you will buy physically now to install and all of those things. But these days, right now, I can pull up my laptop and provision a database without even thinking so much. And many of these things, they are elastic.
Yeah.
So it gives us room for elasticity, right? Where you can go up and down, it contrasts on its own. So these are the benefits of cloud.
And also security.
Security again, I see many people fear the whole cloud and stuff.
Don't know
but we are all using cloud. We all consume all our stuff on cloud because there is nothing else we are shying away from, right?
Yes.
And to me and from what I have researched and experience from my experience, I think cloud is safe, and these guys also, they have a lot at stake for you to be exposed from their own platform. So I think it's better to even provision some of this stuff and
cloud.
You can imagine on premise the downtime if you compare to the cloud. Sometimes I know I've worked for a company where the client is telling you, hey, there will be a downtime because there was a storm somewhere in East Europe. For the cloud, that really happens.
Disaster recovery is
really happens.
In cloud,
because the kind of switches the data center.
It will switch your data center to a
on premise, they have to shut it down, or maybe they are moving it somewhere.
So redundancy, right? Data redundancy. It helps.
The cloud data is copied in different servers. Let's say you have servers from Microsoft in UK, US, and those kind of things. So if UK goes down, of course, your data is copied somewhere else where you can access it from here.
Okay.
But that rarely happens here.
All right.
It rarely happens here.
Okay, now we can move on to data warehouse, which is the last aspect of what you are discussing today. And data warehouse, as Benjamin had mentioned earlier, is a single source of truth. So I'd like us to just talk about it briefly. We can start with maybe the users of a data warehouse.
Users of data warehouse.
Yes.
Because data warehouse pertain to analytics.
Yes.
So I will say it's everyone.
Yes.
Users of data warehouse is everyone.
Yeah.
And again, the data warehouse serves very big purpose these days. I see many people now try to, think maybe it's obsolete, but I doubt it is, because it still even serves even data scientists also, right? Because a scientist can only work with historical data. And what is the essence of data warehouse? To keep historical data, right? So data scientists can benefit from it, developers and many other people. So
I can add on the data warehouse. You see, this is very clean data that has been worked on, and it can be used for anything. For example, let's say someone like Yemi has said about a data scientist. Let's say that like you want to do machine learning.
Yes.
You see, you can't do machine learning on disparate sources and those kind. It will be hard,
True.
But if you have a set of data that's very clean, and so it will be easy for you to plug it into, let's say, something like Azure Machine Learning, or if you're using Python or anything else, and you can pull up those your predictions, and it will be easy for you to work with the data warehouse compared to working with disparate data sources.
Okay. Benjamin, what are the costs of using a data warehouse? Because I understand there's the aspect of storage and all that, and maybe compared to the other, compared to data marts, compared to data lakes, what are the costs?
Well, I wouldn't give you a specific figure, but
Go
exactly.
ahead. Not figure-wise, but in terms of like, what are the implications you're looking at, the options you're weighing?
Of course. Now, you would want first to think of where would you want to have this warehouse? Is it on premise or in cloud? And maybe a little bit off from your question. Back to the on-premise conversation and the cloud conversation. Actually, nowadays there are provision. So now coming back to the warehouse, in terms of costing. If you'd like to do it on premise, then you need to think about server storages, processor speeds and all that. And those things need money so that you get the world-class, good tool set for your speed and all that.
Yes.
If it's cloud, probably if you wouldn't want to do it on your own virtual machines, there are already provisions for data warehouses whereby they also for things like patching, security. You don't care about that per se, though security is a different conversation. But some things have already been taken care of, like patching, storage and all that.
Okay.
But maybe anyone else could add on to it.
Benji, I have a question.
Yes.
On those private clouds.
Yes.
How do they manage, let's say we had a calamity, let's say like fire and something, and the cloud burns down. How, is that data copied somewhere else? For example, what I know is that if I have a virtual machine on cloud, I know if it's in UK, it can be at the same time you can access it from US and these kind of things. But now, how is that managed in the private servers?
Definitely. So if we are talking of a place, physical place like here in Kenya, assuming you are based in Mombasa, it will be based in your Mombasa premise, but also there's this DR, disaster recovery plan. It has to be put in place. It is a must. So these policies are already there. So you have to have an exclusive other place,
like branches,
whereby you have almost the same. Exactly.
That is very expensive.
And it's very expensive. But it's possible.
Okay. Anything I'm leaving out on data warehouse?
I think maybe the structure of a data warehouse in terms of dimensions and facts.
Okay.
So you will set up a data warehouse using that approach, because you like to keep all your dimensions and all your facts in one place.
Yes.
Whereby, if we are talking of dimensions, these are data that will be defining what you have in your fact tables. And then, so things to do with names, things to do with locations, things to do with customer informations, all those are kept in dimension tables, where there will be no duplicate. So you avoid, if you are setting up a data warehouse and you find that maybe some data in your dimension tables are duplicating, you will split that and form another dimension of the same kind of data. Because we want to keep the data in that data warehouse as unique as possible. Then now you'll assign unique keys, which now will be referencing the keys that will be in fact tables. So I think that dimension and fact tables need more. It's a wide.
You will need a whiteboard.
That's what we need. Something.
Allow me maybe to add on costing as well. There are various factors which should be also checked when you are trying to look at the costing. Thinking of users who will be consuming this warehouse. So, for instance, if you have a lot of users, then it means even querying and all that for the warehouse will be high. And if you are paying on the go, then you know what that means.
True.
Among other factors that we can also discuss.
Also, when it comes to kind of building a data lake and a data warehouse, it's different. A data lake, I think it's much more simpler. You're just extracting and loading, right? And data warehouse, you have to do all that kind of transformation. Since you are dealing with curated data, you have to get specialists to do that, and it's not a short time period of time when you're kind of creating a data warehouse. It's kind of long. So is that an aspect of cost for the effort of doing that?
And also when you are talking about development and cost, you see we have different ways of loading a data warehouse, right? Let's say I have a data warehouse on Azure. And now I am loading the design where you delete the whole tables and load. You see that will be very expensive because you are querying. So at some point you need to look at, when you have a database on Azure, you just need to do the incremental load. Instead of, let's say you have 1 million records, you are deleting all these records every day and loading them. Compared to maybe a weekend where there's no transaction, so the query just goes and looks for the latest transaction. There's nothing, and nothing loads, and then the cost goes down here. So when you are choosing also to use a data warehouse on Azure or on cloud, you also need to look at the type, the way you are developing. Is it cost effective or not?
Also, another very important aspect that must be considered in terms of costing now.
Yeah.
In data warehouse online, you see, what we used to do on premise is you buy a server that can store huge amount of data, and these things grows, and again you add more. But in the cloud, you notice that there's this concept of data lifecycle, where you can query hot data. We have cold and then
cold and hot.
The warm, then the cold. So the cold one now you can even store for even lesser amounts. You see, so probably the company has a policy of we don't want to do analytics on data that is more than 5 years. You see, you just keep those ones in archive somewhere, and it just pays something very little. You see, unlike what we have on premise, there is nothing you could do to that. You just have to store them, or you delete them. Right? So things like this are what a company can consider when they say, should we go cloud or we go on premise? Why vote for cloud?